So my name is Katie. I'm with the Worcester Chamber. We're very excited to have Jen Klein with Line of Hope Solutions here today to speak with us on whether our websites attract or repel visitors. So thank you, Jen, for being here today. A couple of things before we get started. We really enjoy an informal conversation. So if you have any specific questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself and speak up or put it in the chat box. I will monitor that. Yeah, without further ado, I'll just pass it off to Jen to get started. I don't want to take too much time. So Jen, the floor is yours.
Sounds great. Thanks, Katie. I am Jen, as Katie said. I am a graphic designer and a web designer. And I am kind of in this, as you guys probably understand with businesses, kind of a pivot even to online events. I have done quite a few online events in the past, but had never felt like that was my focus. But am finding that I just really enjoy them and enjoy the graphic and the web design that goes with them. I am self-taught. So I remember probably 10 years ago when I was working for a company in Indiana. I was trying to create this graphic. I was trying to take this sheep, and it was the body of a sheep and the head was right here in the center. It was like you're looking straight on at this sheep. And I was trying to take the head off of the sheep, and I wanted to put a ribbon behind the sheep for autism awareness and put the head back on the sheep. So like the sheep was wearing this ribbon. And I was working in Microsoft Publisher, and I remember thinking, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better program that can do these graphic things that I can see in my mind, but I can't quite make my program do. And I remember like resolving in that moment to be like, someday I will know what they are and I will know how to use them better. And since then, I have just continued to learn and really teach myself through YouTube tutorials, through paid programs, just lots of different ways to learn to do graphic design and to do web design. I would love to know, like Katie said, I would much prefer this to be a conversation. So if you don't mind, I would love to kind of know what your business story is, kind of give me an idea who we're speaking to and what your website's all about, what your business is all about. So I'm gonna like call on you. I hope that's okay. I can't see your name. What's your name, sir?
Oh, I'm John Benko Scruggs with Main Street Worcester.
Main Street Worcester. So tell us a little bit about what you do with Main Street Worcester and tell us a little about your website. Like it's awesome or it needs hope or whatever.
So we're actually in the process of redoing our website, which is really exciting. So our host service has sold, so we're kind of doing a full rebuild, which is kind of exciting, but also challenging because we have, similar to the Chamber, we have partners that we spotlight and promote, and we do a lot of events and promotions and constantly needing to update and change. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, the website we inherited is a little bit of a Frankenstein of a couple different styles of previous people. So that's kind of been a challenge for us a little bit to kind of do those updates and like, I mean, who has time to go in and update a website all the time? So
there is that, right? Yeah. And you said your name is John, is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. And then Dawn, are you able to chat with us today?
Sorry, I'm just not much for videos and the like. So I'm at NAMI, Wayne and Holmes counties. And we redid our website, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I keep it up only because I seem to be the one that figured out how to do it.
Gotcha.
It's not like, you know, and when I tell my husband that, he's flabbergasted by it because he's like, how do you figure out how to do anything? Because you don't know how to do anything on computers. But
thanks, honey.
Honesty, you know. So I mean, it's not overall a bad website, and it's relatively easy to maintain, but having said that, it's also not like cutting edge stuff because like I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Fair. What you said you were with NAMI?
Mhm.
Okay, can you tell me what that is?
National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Okay. And so are you a nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay. And then what kind of services do you offer?
We're a peer-run recovery center
Okay.
for people who have mental health issues, and we also do like family and community education and support.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Dawn. And I appreciate you coming on video. If you're like, I gotta get off, I'm okay. I understand.
like,
I don't want to be like make you super uncomfortable, but I very much enjoy a conversation more than just the of information. So Christy, what about you? Are you willing to share kind of what you do and maybe how you got sucked into being responsible for your website?
Yeah. So I work at 180, but I work with the Wayne County coalitions that are like substance abuse prevention coalitions. So I don't deal with the 180 website, but I help out with like the coalition's websites. And I'm not the main person, but I do more like kind of support. Sometimes I'll go in and like add things or whatever, or give ideas and that kind of thing. So
Sure. Sounds great. I have been following, this is only briefly related to 180, well, maybe more, but I've been following what Karen Share is doing, kind of partnering with 180. Am I saying that right? Like Karen Share is coming alongside 180 to help move women. And I think that's just the coolest thing.
yeah.
So, okay. So let me share my screen, which, may be a little bit of a challenge. Share screen. Play my presentation. Fabulous. All right, can you guys see it? Yes, don't you love it when things like that work? Okay, so we are talking today kind of about how does your website attract visitors or repel visitors? And really you're all about visitors to your website. Your website isn't just meant to be out there in cyberspace hanging out. It's all about drawing people in so that they can get what you offer. So as I said, I'm Jen. I'm from Line of Hope Creative Solutions. This is my family 2 years ago, maybe. So we're all a little bit taller, except for me. I'm not taller anymore. But I have, Lena is my oldest. She is 8. Zeke, Easton, and Kate. We are stair steps 8, 6, 4, 2. So I am very much I'm a stay-at-home mom. I started my own business doing graphic and web design. And as I said, I'm self-taught. So I am I've gone to all the schooling and done all of the things. I am learning as you guys are, but what has really interested me is the graphic and the web design. And so that's what I've learned. And I just really enjoy supporting businesses with that. As I was saying previously, I offer online events. That's kind of where I'm shifting my bread and butter to be. One of the things that I enjoy about the online events is the networking and the people that you get to meet and connect with through those events that you would never meet in person. I do website design and care. So if you're like, I don't really want to take care of my website anymore, there are people out there in the world who do that. So that might be something to consider for your business if that's something that you're interested in. I also offer branding services. So that's kind of what I do at Line of Hope. So here is like the big overarching question, aside from does your website attract or repel visitors, is why do you have a website? And the answer can't be because I should. Because that's the easy answer. That's the get out of jail free card, right? What is the goal of your website? So what you really need is you need a clear-cut, measurable goal for your website, and you need to know what you want your website to accomplish. So as I process that, it might be easy to say, all right, well, I need a goal for my website. I want my website to provide information for the community about my services. And I would say that's maybe a low level goal for your website. If you think in a higher, more opportunistic way of thinking, I think that what your goal for your website really should be is to convert your visitor. And you want to convert your visitor to sell products, to attract leads, to connect with potential clients. You want to use your resource to provide resources for clients. You want to encourage donations if you're a nonprofit. Maybe you want, or not a nonprofit. You want to, if you're a restaurant, I'm like, what does share menu mean? But if you're a restaurant, you want to share your menu, or you want to share the services that you provide. There are so many other goals of a website. So I put some pictures up here just to kind of talk through what potential different niche businesses goals would be. I hope that didn't grate on your nerves, that niche. Maybe you're a niche kind of person. It seems to be is it niche or is it niche? So if you are a fitness instructor, maybe you're an online fitness instructor. So your goal is to probably funnel people into your online fitness program. If you're a local fitness gym, if you're a local yoga studio, your goal is probably through your website is to encourage people to visit your studio. What if you're a tutor? What would a potential goal for your website be there? Probably to get new leads for your tutoring services. We have the next lady, and I look at her and automatically thought bookkeeper. She's an online bookkeeper. Or she provides bookkeeping services out of her home. Then, we're going to be interrupted. You need to go lay down. Easton, we talked about this. You need to go lay down, bud. Okay? Night night. We talked about this. You're going to have to go lay down. I think a nap will probably help it. Then you need to go outside and find Daddy. Why? Yes, Mom? Why? Because Mom is doing a meeting. Please. Yeah. Sorry, guys. There is the real life work at home mom coming through right there. Go. So then we move down to this guy here on the left. He probably works for Main Street Worcester. Main Street Worcester seeks to connect the businesses on Main Street, right? Is that you working there on the left? His chin hair might be a different color than yours. The goal of Main Street Worcester is to introduce the businesses in Main Street Worcester to the community that's around it. I'm just spitballing here. I think that your goal could be totally different. Then we have this other lady. There's so many different goals that your website could have, but you need to come up with what is the purpose of your website. So you have something to filter through. Does it attract or does it repel? Is it doing what I want it to do? Is it doing what I need it to do? If you're the Chamber of Commerce and you're looking at your website and you're thinking, why do I have a website? I would say that you've maybe got a twofold goal. One is to draw in new businesses. And the second is to provide services for the businesses that you serve. And that's okay. I think that you can recognize that your website has to function with two purposes, but you need to know what those are so you can measure and say, is it or is it not? All right, and this is where we're going to get a little bit more interactive. So what, John, would you say is your goal for Main Street Worcester's website?
Probably the primary goal is to attract tourism and draw people into the community to explore and learn what we have to offer in relation to businesses, shopping, dining, staying, that type of thing.
Okay. Is it Dawn? Is that right? Yeah. I don't know. Your names are gone again. Do you have an idea of what NAMI's goal would be for their website?
I think mostly our website, I mean, we do have a donate button, but our website is mostly informational, to let the community or people who are looking for services know what we have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Katie, did we lose Christy? Is she?
She's still showing on
He's
my
still
screen.
here.
Okay. Sorry. I just don't, your window, it's fine that you're not on screen. Totally cool. But I just didn't see that your window is still there. Do you have any thoughts on what your goals are for the Wayne County Coalition? Is that what it, that's right, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're a lot about like asset building in the community. So a lot of times when people hear substance abuse prevention, they think it's like the just say no to drugs kind of thing.
Sure.
But that's not the approach we want to take. It's a lot more about bringing the community together and saying, especially for youth, what are some like assets that we can provide for our youth, whether it's education or after school activities or things like that, so that they don't need to turn to substances for coping. So for the website, I would say it is providing information and education, but also like linking to resources and things like that.
Okay. 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 So we're gonna look at this potential business here. And I look at this and I say landscaping company might have this on their website, or maybe like a pressure washing company where they can, they clean. Those were just the two that popped into my mind as I think of this potential business. And so the goal of this possible business, their website, I think should be to convert their visitor. And I would say at somewhere in your visitor's journey on your website, you should also be trying to convert your visitor. And a conversion is that a visitor completes a desired goal. So for this particular business's website, if it's a landscaping company, if it's a pressure washing company, it's probably a local company. So their goal of their website and the goal of the visitor, or the thing that they want their visitor to accomplish on their website, is to fill out a form to get a free quote. Or ultimately, the goal here is to turn the visitor on the website into a paying client or customer. I would say this service-based business, that would probably be their ultimate goal here. Now, I'm not saying that their conversion is going to be, it's a pretty big jump to be a visitor on a website here. Well, let's start down here instead. It's a pretty big jump to be a visitor on a website here to a paying client up here. And so there are probably steps to get to that place. But I think that the ultimate goal of that website is that they want to take a visitor on their website and turn them into a paying client. So Katie, you want to take a visitor on your website and you want to turn them into a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So now we have to look at that and break down those goals, because as I said, it's from here to here is a big jump. So what is the next easiest place for someone who has this service-based pressure washing business? Well, maybe, like I said, maybe they want them to fill out a free quote, or maybe they just want to provide a little bit of education and get them be able to get into their email inbox and target them through some email marketing. So the goal would be to provide a quick win in exchange for an email address. So a freebie for you, an email address for me. Now I can talk to you through your email inbox. Just some thoughts there for this service-based business. So a conversion is where a visitor completes a desired goal. There are many different ways that a visitor can convert on your website, and these are just 3. Like, there can be so many different ideas. So that visitor could fill out a form. If you're an e-commerce site, or if you provide, they could purchase a product. That could be a conversion on your website. A visitor could sign up for a freebie. That could be a conversion on your website. And so what I want to do now is I want to play out 2 different scenarios for you. So scenario 1, we've got a travel agency. The travel agency has a website. It is a nice website, nothing stellar, but a very respectable, you don't feel embarrassed to send someone there kind of website. And so someone lands on that website looking for the hours of that travel agency. So a couple clicks, they find the hours, they get them, and the visitor leaves the website. She found what she was looking for, and she's gone. Okay. Scenario 2, we have a therapeutic riding facility. And so this therapeutic riding facility, somebody's coming to their website looking for their hours. That person, the visitor, lands on their website looking for the hours, and the headline of the website grabs the attention because it speaks right to their need. They understand, this therapeutic riding facility's website understands that you are looking for hope for your kid with a disability. So because this therapeutic riding facility has a place right here to sign up to get that little glimpse of hope that they're offering through a freebie, she signs up. She's like, yeah, I want that. Bring that to my inbox. I need that. So the inbox, or the freebie, comes to her inbox. She opens it up because she's excited about it. She reads it. It provides a quick win. So it provides a way for her to connect with her child who has a disability in a unique way, probably related to the horses or the therapeutic riding facility. She is happy with that win, and she also grabbed the hours. But now that there's a relationship developed here, she wants to know more. So you created that quick win for me. How can I need to know more about what you offer. I need to know more about what you can do for me and for my kid. I need to know more about the solution that you provide for me. So she goes back and she digs deeper into the website. She starts to read some of the content that's on the website, and she's like, you get me. You understand who I am and the struggles that I have, and my pain points as a mom of a kid with disabilities. And then she realizes that therapeutic riding could really be one of the solutions to the struggle that she's been having with her child with disabilities. And so she goes and she commits to a therapeutic riding class at this therapeutic riding facility for her child. Okay, which business do you want to be? Any thoughts? I will take answers from the peanut gallery. John, who do you want to be?
Definitely number 2.
Right? Your website can do that for you. Dawn, I know you want to be number 2, right? You want to be like, yes, I get you. I see your struggle and I understand what you're doing. So, what is your website's goal? How are you guiding your website visitors to convert and to accomplish this goal? So that's a question that I want you to be walking away thinking about and prepared to answer. I'm not coming into your inbox to say, hey, John, did you figure out your website's goal? But that is going to help you as you are redoing your website now. And I think that you need to have this upper level idea of what your goal is and what you want your visitors to do, that journey that you want to guide them on, before you're starting to be like, do I attract or do I repel? Because now you know, am I attracting to my goal or am I repelling from my goal? Because if you are saying, I want to fix this and I want to fix this and I want to fix this of my website, how are you going to know that that's effective for you if you don't know what you're hoping it to accomplish? And that kind of drags us into now this idea of attracting or repelling. Are you attracting visitors to that goal that you want them to accomplish, or are you repelling them away from it? And I would say that there are three really big issues, but please understand that this list is not anywhere close to exhaustive. This list is like scratching the surface of website, because we could talk about search engine optimization. We could talk about colors. We could talk about accessibility, because accessibility in websites is a big thing right now. Is your website accessible for people with disabilities? Or are you making your website hard for them to use and to navigate? And if that's the case, then you're for sure repelling them. So those are just a few additional issues aside from these big three that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth today. So the first one we're going to dig into here is navigation, the navigation of your website. And when I say that, I think about how does someone move around through the different pieces of your website? So navigation. It would have been perfect to put a picture right here on this website, or a picture on this computer screen, but I have a really hard time pulling a website from the internet and saying, this is a really bad website, because somebody built it. Somebody put time and effort into that. So you're going to have to use your imagination. You can say, oh yeah, I've been to that website before. You know, imagine that one, right? Your navigation should have a few options. So if you think about this website and you think about the options across the top, too many options probably looks like a line of navigation menu items, and then another line below it of some more navigation menu items, and then maybe a third line of navigation menu items. That's too many options. A visitor is going to come to your site and be like, I don't know what I want. So yeah. So you need to make it simple. You need to make it less is more. Are those navigation options clear and understandable? Are you using words that make sense to someone who has never heard about who you are and what you do? Or are you using like lingo that kind of matches buzzwords, maybe, I don't know if that's the right word, that kind of matches your business, but it kind of excludes or repels people away if they don't speak the lingo of your business. So, you know, I can think of my Pinterest board, for example. So I have a Pinterest board called Yummies. It would probably be a better title if I was a recipe blog and I had, or a recipe website, and I had some navigation menu items across the top and I had Yummies getting started, and it would probably be a better user experience if instead of Yummies, I put recipes, because that's what those are. That's what typical people call those. And if somebody's coming to my website, they're going to know faster recipes as opposed to Yummies. So that's kind of an example for you. So you need to make sure that your navigation is really clear and it's understandable. You also want to make sure that your navigation is available in multiple locations. And I want to add in typical locations. So when you are looking for the navigation of a navigation menu of a website, you're probably going to look in the upper right-hand corner. So you probably want to make sure that your navigation is there, because that's where people are looking for navigation. You could be really cool and have it along the left-hand side as well, but people aren't looking for navigation there. So put it here and put it there so that people are not confused, so that they are attracted, and you make it really easy to use your website. And I would say put it in your footer as well, because you scrolled all the way down to the bottom before of a website. And then you're like, now I got to scroll all the way back to the top to go to somewhere else in that website. So clear navigation. And then here's a couple more practical things to help your navigation be a better user experience. Hyperlinks are the links, like the text links that you would have in your content of your website. Make those obvious. So if your text is black, make those a bright blue. Make sure that whatever color choice you use is a good contrast between the background of your website and the color of the text that you're using. Don't make your hyperlinks with black text. Don't make them really almost black, dark gray text, because someone is not going to look at that and say, oh, that's a link that could help me. Especially if it's a link to somewhere else in your website, and you could keep them on your website longer, getting more good information from you, developing a better relationship with you. So make sure that your links, your hyperlinks are very obvious. Clear and simple navigation. Think about your grandma. If she was coming into your website, could she figure out how to do it? And I think that you need to make sure that she could. If you are a stylist, a hairstylist, make sure that your navigation matches your website goals. So if you're a stylist and you have a website, your goal is probably to get someone to book an appointment with you. That is probably your goal. So make sure that your navigation allows for that. Don't make it hard for somebody to come in and say, I need a haircut. I want to book an appointment, but it's not right here at the top. I'm going to have to scroll down. Oh, I'm a new client, so I'll click on that button, and then let me scroll and read and scroll. And oh, look, down here at the bottom is where I can book an appointment. Don't make it hard. Connect it with your goals. Make it really easy for them. Okay, does anybody have any questions about navigation or thoughts on that? Okay, let's move on. The next thing that you probably want to consider as you're thinking about, do I attract or do I repel my visitors, is your site speed. And that sounds scary, right? Because I don't know if I can control my site speed. I can barely get something updated on my website. So I need to put in a little caveat here. I am a WordPress developer, and so I am offering Word Designer, really. I am offering WordPress solutions. The overarching ideas fit with any website. But if your website is on Joomla, if it's on Drupal, if it's on Wix, if it's on Squarespace, the practical solutions that I'm offering are probably not necessarily where you need to be looking, but it might give you a good idea of some things to think about. Does everybody understand that? Is that a fair caveat here? Okay, so hosting. Cheap hosting often, not always, but often will equal site speed limits. So I think it would be wise to take a pause here and to say, what is really hosting? And how is a website built? So I like to compare a website with a house. If you're going to build a house, you need, maybe not the first thing, but you need an address. And so with a website, you need an address. That would be your www dot, whatever your website is. And then if you're going to build a house, you need a piece of land to build it on. And in the website world, for the most part, almost always, you're going to rent that land. And we can consider that your host. So your host or your server is where you're going to build your website, just like the piece of land is where you're going to build your house. Then you're going to need a content management system. And that would be like the framing of your house. So you can have different options. You could have a mobile home where you just kind of pull it in and set it down. You could have a modular where you pull in half and set it down, and you pull in the other half and you set it down. And I would almost think of that like it's all done for you. It's kind of like an all-in-one. And I would look at that at like a Squarespace website, a Wix website, where you pay a monthly fee and it's just all right there. But you're limited in what you can do with that modular. Like, you can't change the floor plan of a modular. It is this. You can change the colors on the inside, maybe. I would rather have blue carpet instead of red carpet, but I mean, like, you don't have a ton of flexibility. I would say that a stick-built house, so a framed house, is probably more like a WordPress site where you have a lot more flexibility to decide on the floor plan and to decide on the layout. And you could even go, the model houses over in Jeromesville, like 89 Builders or Schumacher or Capstone, those homes, they have like templates. They have blueprints. You can pick this one or you can pick this one, and we'll come build it for you on your hosting. That would be like you're a template-based website, template-based WordPress website. Or you can just build it all from scratch. Hire a builder like Homestead Building Company, and they'll come in and get your blueprints and create exactly what you want. So there's so many different options. Hosting is your land, though. I'm probably going to come back to that idea here of the home compared to a website. So hosting is the land that you put your website on. If your hosting is cheap, if you're paying $7 a month for your hosting, it is likely that your host is putting your website and someone else's and someone else's and someone else's and someone else's on the same server. And that's fine as long as this person who's on that server doesn't all of a sudden get huge and max out the entire server's capability for your website hosting. And that will drastically slow your site speed down. So practical examples of that, Bluehost is, if your website is hosted on Bluehost, SiteGround would be like that. There's GoDaddy, there's a gazillion. What's a solution to that? You could pay a little bit more for your hosting. Big Scoots is a little bit of a higher level. Cloudways is a little bit of a higher level hosting, and you probably are going to get better service. You're going to get better site speed. I offer hosting from a local company in Ashland, and it is why I like that is because I am working very closely with the gentleman who has set it up, and we are very carefully monitoring the site speed of each website on the server. And so I know if this website is busting at the seams, we need to move him to his own server so that we are still providing solid site speed experience for the people in our hosting. So many options with hosting, but it's definitely something to consider with your site speed. And why? Because you have been on that website that fails to load in 3 seconds and you're gone. You are repelling visitors if your site takes a long time to load. And there is no way around that. I have 4 or 5 websites that are mine or connected to me somehow. And the first one that I ever built is, I just was checking its load time, and it is fully loaded in 13.5 seconds. Do you think people want to sit around and wait for that site to load? Or do you think they're going to be like, I don't have time for this. This is ridiculous. It's obviously not working. You don't want that to be your site. Something else that's going to affect your site speed, hosting, image size. If you take an image from your phone, your iPhone, and you just upload it straight to your website, you are like shooting yourself in the foot with your site speed. iPhone, Android images, they have done such a good job to make these images amazing. But they're not awesome for your website because they're too big. They're just going to slow down. They take up a ton of space. So you should resize your images before you upload them to your website. You can do some of that in Canva, which is a free design program, online web-based design program. You should set the dots per inch, the DPI to your images to 72. It's good digital image practice. You could also use an image compression tool such as Short Pixel. This is a plugin, and this is where I'm talking about, like, this is for WordPress websites. This is not for Squarespace, for Wix, for any of the other ones. So those are things to think about in order to increase your site speed. And then number 3, plugins and themes. Okay, house thing again. So if WordPress is your the framing of your house, the theme is like the drywall that goes on your house, and it provides functionality. You have to have it. So you cannot have a visitor come to your house with just framing and send them to your bathroom with no drywall and say, here, you can use my bathroom. It's not functional. They cannot use your bathroom without walls. Not cool. Same thing with your website. You have to have framing. You have to have a theme in order to build the site. So you can have a nice lightweight theme, or you can have a theme that is bloated and heavy with extra code like CSS and JavaScript. So you want to be aware of what theme you're using. Again, WordPress speak here. You want to be aware of what theme you're using so that you're not slowing your website down with your theme. You need a good lightweight theme. Plugins are like the decorations for your website. So it provides the functionality. It's like your toilet in your house. It's like your sink. It's like your furnace. It's like your security system. You have to have all of those things. And you have to put together all of those things like you do for a house. So that's what a plugin is. But if you have plugins that you're not using, get rid of them, because that will help reduce your site speed. You don't need those things cluttering up. They're also security risk if you're not using them. And then you need to make sure that you're using plugins that are good, that are not outdated, that aren't put together by a developer and then he's abandoned them, or she has abandoned them, and they're not getting updated. Those are huge security risks, and they probably also could really impact your site speed. All right, so this little section of this talk was very technical. And if you guys are like eyes glazed, we're done with all the technical stuff. But they are really good things to understand as you're thinking about, am I attracting or repelling visitors to your website? If you are like, I don't know how my website loads, run a test. So gtmetrics.com is a free site speed test. Now, I need to give this disclaimer, I guess. It is not a perfect test. If you were looking for a perfect test or to know for sure exactly how your site handles site speed, you would hire a developer to go and run that test for you and to do a lot of things. But the GT metrics is going to give you a good idea. Does your site load in 3 seconds or less? Does it load in 2 seconds or less? Because that's ideal. You can also Google page speed insights. So just type that into Google, page speed insights, and that's Google's tool. And I don't know if I remember what score you're looking for there with that, but I think that they do a good job of telling you. And if you check your site and you're like, oh, that's really slow, contact a designer, contact a developer, contact me, and let's look at your site and see what we could do to help fix it. And if your site's not on WordPress, contact me and I'll help you find a developer who can help you. It's not me, but there are all kinds of people out there who could help you. And the last thing is your site. Does it attract or does it repel? Is it mobile friendly? And this is just huge because mobile traffic isn't going anywhere. Over 50% of all of internet traffic happens on mobile devices, so on tablets or phones. If your site is hard to navigate on mobile, your visitors are like, see ya later. So you've been on the sites where you're like, it loads on mobile, but it looks the same as it would on a desktop. And so everything is smushed into this tiny little box. And then you're like using your fingers to try to zoom in to like, I need to hit this button. Is that attracting or repelling visitors to your site? Obviously repelling. You do not want that experience for your mobile visitors because it's very possible that over 50% of the people who are looking at your site are on a mobile device. So you can use Google. Google offers a mobile friendly test. So Google, type into Google, mobile friendly test, and then you can kind of evaluate the results and see what they say. Yes, it is mobile friendly, or no way, it's not. And from there, again, that's probably a place where you're going to need to connect with a designer or developer to say, hey, my website is not mobile friendly. This is not okay. So what can we do to make it happen? But that's a big one. You want your site to be mobile friendly. You want it to be responsive. So responsive means that no matter what screen size someone is viewing at, the site adjusts responsively to that. So if someone is viewing it on a desktop or like a nice huge monitor, the site looks beautiful. And if someone is looking at it on a phone, the site looks beautiful and it's very easy to navigate. The text is still big enough to read. The navigation menus are still easy to access. It's not a zoom in and I got to get that. And so those are some ideas with mobile friendly. So if you fail on any of these big three, you are going to be repelling visitors from your site really quickly. But if you are rocking these three, you are well on your way to attracting visitors to your site. You're making it easy for them to come in and to say, hey, yeah, I can find what I need here. I can get around, I can navigate. It doesn't take me 20 minutes to move around your site. I mean, you've already long lost them if it takes 20 minutes. You've probably long lost them if it takes 20 seconds. And I can get to it on my phone because I need to sometimes. There are times where I'm on the go and I need to know what your site says. So those are kind of my three for today because there are so many. But these three, you really need to know the why and the goal of your site so that you know how to make these big three things work for you. Katie said that there were, that we typically run about an hour. So my computer is telling me that we've got like maybe 5-7 minutes left. Is that right, Katie?
It looks about right. Yep, we're at about 2:50. So
okay. So I would take questions, but I would also look at somebody's website. I will be super kind. I will not be like, oh, your website's awful. I won't do that, I promise. But I would be happy to do that as well, to just look and we can talk through it and say, this is what it looks like, or we can run it through a GT metrics test and say, this is what your page speed looks like. So, or we can be done. If you guys are like, I'm done with this, too much technical stuff.
So I actually have a question.
Yeah.
So I use Canva because it is like a godsend. Oh my God, it's amazing. So how do you make sure it's 72 DPI?
How do you make sure your image is 72 DPI?
What's the best setting when you're exporting and all that?
Yeah. So what program are you using?
Canva.
Canva. If you look at Canva, I think in your export options, if you're putting an image on your website and it doesn't have to have a transparent background. So if you're putting your logo on your website, you probably don't want a white box around your logo. But if it's an image like this one that's on the screen right now, it's just an image, you want to export it as a JPEG, first of all, because that's a lower sized image. You can also reduce the quality of the JPEG. So I think when you're exporting in Canva, there's a slider and you can slide down the quality of that JPEG. And as long as you don't lose the integrity of the image, so as long as your image doesn't become fuzzy when you upload it to your website, sometimes it's kind of a, I tried it here and, oh, that looks bad. But, okay, so let me slide that slider up a little bit. The trial and error thing. But I think that is a good way to try and to do that. A lot of times the visible window of your site is set at somewhere around 1200, 1400 pixels. So if you know that your image like this one is going to stretch the full width of your site, you may want to try and export it 1000, 1200 pixels, because you're going to stretch it a little bit, but it's not going to be 2400 where you're squishing it and making it more dots per inch. So then to answer your question on dots per inch, I don't know if Canva allows you to make that setting or not, but if you're exporting as a JPEG and you're reducing the quality of that export, you're a lot more likely to have fewer dots per inch as opposed to 300 or even more.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Any website adventuring?
I'm always fine with volunteering the chamber as tribute if we want to go through some website, through some of the information that you want to look at. I know the mobile optimization piece that you spoke on, we were just talking about that because we utilize Squarespace. So it has an option to view it on the desktop and on your mobile device. So we control everything in-house with our website, which can be a challenge. But Michelle in our office was talking about how she's always on everybody's websites on her phone and they don't all work properly. So that brought up the question whether ours did or not, because we really didn't question that before. So your conversation definitely got me thinking that we need to look into that.
Well, let's see what Google says. It is, give me a second here while I pull up and share my screen again. And I'm going to have it on my second desktop. So if I'm not looking at you, that's why I'm looking over here at second screen. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Do you see a bazillion tabs or do you see one?
I just see the one tab that you have.
We're sharing the right screen then. Anybody live the 300 tab life? Guilty. Okay, so do you know your website off the top of your head?
It's worcesterchamber.com.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways to check the responsiveness of your website. We can do the mobile test, and we'll do that in a second. But another thing that you can do is we can make it full screen. Well, no, I don't really want to make it full screen, but we can stretch the window and see what it does. And so do you see how your website stretches to fill that space? You don't have like something on the edge here. This is not a huge monitor, but it's a decent size monitor. So I think it's doing a nice job with that. Then the next thing we can do is shrink it and see what it does. So a responsive website would have a breakpoint at some point where things start to change when the width of the viewing window is smaller. So yours is changing. You can see that your menu items are now in 3 rows. You can see that this has gone to 2 rows of text, and that's good. You don't want those to extend off of the side of the viewing area. You don't want those to be unable to see, or someone to have to scroll on their mobile device to see that or to read this. At some point, I would think that your site would change to a hamburger menu, and right there it is. And so the navigation is now a lot easier on a mobile device if it's a hamburger menu, as opposed to it being little tiny things across the top. Okay, so let's stretch this again so that we're not working in a teeny tiny little space. And we're going to Google and is your web page mobile friendly? That S is important. That's another, does it attract or repel? This S here in your HTTPS shows that the website is secure. It's this little lock up here in the corner. If you don't have an SSL certificate on your website, Google is going to flag your site as not secure or not private. And people are going to be like, oh, I ain't sending my email address on that site or anything else. And you can see Google is fetching your page and running a test. It might take a minute. Hey, look at you go. Your page is mobile friendly. It did say that there were some page loading issues. We'll see what Google says. Not all resources could be loaded. It says that some of these things are just not loading on mobile quite the same. And I'll have to be honest with you, some of this is beyond my, like, I know what this means. But it does also say, it gives you an open site-wide mobility report there. You know, it does provide you a lot of information. And there's a screenshot. And so we saw that also when we shrunk the viewing window. So yeah. If we come back here and we look at your website, I would say that your navigation, just, you know, straight up, there's a lot of it. You have a lot of options. Do you need all of them? You would have to really evaluate. Yes, this is the best way for us to do that. Or, I don't know, could we organize some of our information differently and guide our visitors on a journey that's a little bit clearer and cleaner for them? You know, it looks to me like member benefits, member login, maybe you could have a members tab and then member benefits and then member login. And then a member benefits page would pull up like a page that has each of these listed, and they can click on which one, which might ease your navigation a little bit there. And then the members login would just be the same thing, but it's reducing the number of navigation items you have on your menu. You know, membership directory, that's probably not something that you would want in that members area, because that's more outward facing for the people who are navigating your site, that's looking for a business that they can trust that will provide them the service that they need, right?
Yes.
So
that's extremely helpful. So and as you can see, we've added a lot of tabs. You know, just this year, the COVID-19 resources, the Worcester's hiring publication, and Dora are both new things that we're doing. But I never really thought, I guess, to consolidate, you know, even the member login and the member benefits And then instead of having that drop down, maybe putting things on the actual page so it's not so overwhelming. So that's something that we'll likely look to update here in the coming weeks.
What about events? Is that something that's more for members? Could you include that? Like if you have members, events, login? I mean, I don't know. You guys are going to have to evaluate that, but just again, thinking, processing.
Yeah, and there's definitely some events that are strictly for members. So for example, our golf outing, that's not open to the general public. That is only a member event. But there are a lot of community events. So we can, yeah, that's something we should definitely evaluate and see how to better organize that. So that's extremely helpful. And the mobile optimization portion that you just pulled up, I'm very happy that ours is mobile friendly, but I was a little shocked at first because I've had some issues recently on my mobile device when looking at our website. So all of those, the list of things that you had mentioned, that those are probably the things that I'm running into issues with when viewing it on my mobile device.
Yeah, and that might be true. And Google and whoever else only can do what they can do. And so it is always a good idea to test the mobile friendliness on actual mobile devices. And so if you are saying my personal experience is that this is not user friendly, dig into it, find out, ask Squarespace to help you. You know, however, if you have Squarespace support, or find a Squarespace developer and ask those questions. Because I would say that user experience always trumps what Google says. But what Google says matters because it matters for your search engine optimization. And is Google showing your page as a possible result? Because if they're not, why have a website? I mean, there's kind of that as well. You want Google to be presenting your website to people as an option for the solution of whatever they're searching for. Did somebody type something in the chat? Yes. I gotta run, Christy. There we go. Anybody else have any questions? Any other thoughts? If you want to connect with me, I am a chamber member. You can find my listing on the chamber's website. You can connect with me at lineofhopecreative.com. And that'll get you connected with me. Or an email, which is just as easy. I don't know, jen@lineofhopecreative.com. So I appreciate your time today. Thanks for letting me share my nerdy website business. And I hope that it was helpful for you guys.
Jen, I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for the individuals who are still on with us. Thank you for participating. I personally took a lot from this conversation, and it was recorded and it will be hosted on our YouTube page. So if either of you need to go and reference anything on our page, that'll be available as well. So again, Jen, thank you so much. And if you haven't had the opportunity yet to go enjoy the sun, I highly recommend. Jen was out at the park earlier, so go enjoy that sunshine.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, everybody.